I wasn't saving that. You know, a lot of times they save the best for last. Well, I wasn't saving this for last. But this is a friend of mine that lived in the same city that I was born up and raised in, and that's Washington, D.C. Yeah. Speak on it. And we've been friends for a long time. But you know what I admired about her so much? She took a challenge to become the first black mayor. Female. I ain't got to that part about it. The first black female mayor in Clifton Forge. And I think that was a heck of an accomplishment. Amen. So we'll welcome right now none other than Pam Marshall up front to do what she do best. Talk about politics.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the invitation to be here. As I told Bishop Deering, I am not a public speaker, but he asked me to come, and when I served on that council for 3 years, anytime I asked him to show up, he was right there. So I wanted to show up for you, DC, today. Yeah, I so cherish my memories in DC. When I got there, it was very welcoming, very inviting, and very inclusive. So it was a very different world from the one I was raised in. But Black History Month. This is the month-long observance devoted to education about the history of Black people and the celebration of their contributions to history from the enslaved people first brought over from Africa in the early 17th century to African Americans living in the United States today. We have truly come this far by faith.
Yes.
There have been some of us who did break the glass ceiling down at City Hall, now Town Hall. But I want to remember some men today who were broken out of that jail down at Town Hall. Charles Miller, John Scott, Robert Burton, and an unknown black man. In 1891, 6 workers from Big Hill Mines in Iron Gate came up to Clifton Forge, and they were at a bar at what was known as Jackson Street. They took professional photos. They had some guns. They were doing some gunplay. They did some shopping, and then when they were relaxing, the town police arrived to arrest them. They announced that they would die before they were taken. And so they made their ways back to the mines. A posse gathered, and a shootout ensued. 2 members of the posse were wounded, and 1 died. When the news of the gunfight reached Clifton Forge, heavily armed white men poured from the town and began scouring those mountains for the miners. 4 of the 6 were captured and lodged in the Clifton Forge jail. A mob of about 300 surrounded the jail. They broke down the door of the jail and took 3 of the prisoners and dragged them through the streets to what is now known as Slaughter Pen Hollow, where they were lynched and their bodies were riddled with bullets as they hung. The mob returned to the jail for Robert Burton. He had been hurt earlier during the gunfight, so they loaded him in a cart and transported him to the tree where the 3 mangled bodies of his friends remained. Despite his youth, he was only a teenager, and Miller's earlier confession that Burton had nothing to do with it, he was strung up and hung and shot as well. So like those who broke the glass ceiling and those who were broken out of the jail at Town Hall, we all have a story. We might not have a historical marker erected in our names. We may not be the first Black this or that. We may not be bishop. We may not be pastor.
That's right.
We may not be first lady.
That's right.
But by God,
Amen.
we are here.
All
That's
right.
right.
And because we are Black history.
All right.
Thank you.
Praise the Lord.